Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the American Tier 8 Preferential Premium Medium Tank, the Super Pershing. Well, this first replay is the Freedom, which is the Freedom version. America! It's the skin version of the Super Pershing. And this is a tank that I've had for years. This was actually the first Tier 8 Premium that I ever bought. Yeah, it was. This Freedom was on discount. I got it for about 5,000 something gold. Might have even been 4,700 gold. I remember it was something in the region where it was in that 4 to 5k region, you know, between 4 and 6k, I should say, really, on discount. And I went, ooh, that's really good. And it's got preferential matchmaking. That means I can never see tier 10s in it. Oh, you know what? I'll buy it. And this was shortly after I'd earned the Motherland, because the Motherland was the first Tier 8 Premium I ever had, because I earned it for free. And then this came on discount shortly after, and I was like, go on then, I'll buy it, sure. And this was it was really the first time that I truly chose to spend big in World of Tanks, I suppose is probably a way of looking at it. I mean, I'd bought premium tanks before, but there was stuff like, well, I'd only bought 3 premium tanks before, and that was the Panzer S35, the Excelsior, my love, my original love, and the Panzer IV Schmalturm, the Panzer IVS. They were the first 3 tanks that I ever bought. This was the first one that was like the big investment, right? I'm going to have to buy the £20 worth of gold to actually buy this tank. You know, that's the kind of investment it was, and it was like, oh, okay, this is odd. I don't normally do this, and now I'm a big fat whale. I mean, what can I say? And yeah, so this was my first Tier 8 Premium tank that I ever bought. And do I enjoy it? Yeah, I do enjoy it. I mean, obviously it's aged tremendously in this day and age, but it has been buffed a couple of times to try and at least bring it up to scratch. And at least, because the one thing that obviously it struggled with for a very long time was its penetration, because its penetration was poo, very poo, even back for when it matched the other preferential premium tanks, but it was still poo, because it had 170 penetration on its rounds, which was just ugh. But you had premium rounds that had 258 pen, which were just filthy. And it was always irritating to me that my premium rounds were so filthy and that I struggled to pen things with the standard 170 pen, which you could make work a lot back in the day, but these days, yeah, you could never make that work in a million years. But these days, it does actually have 192 penetration on its AP, which is still not that great if we're 100% honest with you at Tier 8 these days. Because, I mean, most Tier 8s are starting to pack that 220 pen, right? But you can still make it work. It's not horrific. And, you know, you've got 258 penetration on your premium rounds if you really need to dip into that. And then you'll pen everything. But the thing is, you're not facing Tier 10s, so you don't have to worry about the Tier 10 problem. It's just Tier 9s. And realistically, there's not too many Tier 9s you're going to struggle with with 258 pen. It's stuff like maybe a Type 4 Heavy you might struggle with, you know, or a Mouse Chin. But that's it, particularly. And yeah, the Super P's not too bad. The armour on it is troll, is the way I'd put it. It's not reliable whatsoever. You do not buy this tank thinking your armour is going to be the best thing since sliced bread, because it won't be. I mean, nothing's better than sliced bread, and nothing will ever be better than sliced bread, because you can make toast with chocolate spread. Oh. Anyway, sidetracked. So, yeah, the armour is exceptionally troll. And it's the type of armour you don't want to rely on, but you will get a good few bounces out of it, because you have a big spaced armour plate over the front of the hull, because you are obviously a Pershing, and on top of the Pershing armour you have this big riot shield thing slapped on the front, which is 38mm thick, which will bounce you a good amount of damage. But you do have a machine gun port that is easily pennable if people aim for it, but they do have to hit it, and that can be a pain. And also, on the front of the turret, you have a lot more spaced armour again on the front, which then protects the gun mantlet, which is like 88mm thick, so you will bounce quite a lot off of the gun mantlet really nicely, which is good. But they have a fair few spots that they can penetrate you with the Super P, and that is the cupolas on top, which the one on the left, if you were looking at it, is fairly easy to pen. And then other than that as well, they've got the cheeks underneath the spaced armour. The cheeks underneath the spaced armour on the turret is where you can also pen this tank. And obviously a big downside to the tank again is the fact that you do have a 40km/h top speed with a very poor power to weight, so you are a very slow medium tank. But again, you're more towards that heavy and roll as opposed to being a true flanking medium. You're not a true heavy tank either, where you're going brawling. You can do bits of both, but yeah, you don't realistically want to rely on your armour, and you want to try and put yourselves, you want to be trying to think where you want to put yourselves in games to be able to make the damage happen, because you are also pretty damn slow, and it's something you've just got to put up with. So what do I run in terms of a crew on the Super Pershing? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Trap Mechanics, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, and Off-Road Driving. Off-Road Driving to make sure that the ground resistances don't impact on our top speed too much, because it is, again, an old school premium, and its ground resistances, especially on soft, are pretty awful. So you want to try and help that out as much as you can, because obviously you don't have the best power to weight at 11.60, so you want to try and help it out by negating the effects of the ground resistances on your mobility. And then the 3 gun perks, because this gun is fairly derpy and can be pretty damn irritating at times, especially at distance, because you do have 0.38 accuracy base, which is not that great, and it's getting onto the derpy side of things, so you want to help that as much as possible by having all the gun perks and then having a gun stabilizer. And yes, in terms of equipment, I run the advanced loader, the gun stabilizer, and optics. Optics to be able to spot for myself, the gun stabilizer to have the best gun I can possibly have, and the loader to make the DPM as good as humanly possible. I mean, if the gun doesn't irritate you, you could quite happily drop that for a powertrain, because if you were to fit a powertrain, naturally it gives you a slightly better power to weight, which should help you with your top speed, or getting to your top speed, because you do get a 42km/h top speed with the powertrain, and you have a 12.18 horsepower per ton ratio, which is obviously a lot better. Oh, still not that great though. So we finished that first game with 5 kills, 4.3k damage, the ace tanker, the high caliber, 2091 base XP. A really great game there for the Freedom, or for the Super Pershing, on that map, which was Nebelburg Small. And we're on to the second replay, and the second replay we are on this map, which is Mines. Oh, this is a very old school feel, isn't it, of a video? We've got the old school tank in the Super Pershing. We've got the old school map in Mines. Oh, it's almost like playing back in the day, innit? Almost. So on Mines, what's the best thing for Mines? Or should I say the best thing to do on Mines? Take the hill. Stop them winning the hill, because if the team that wins the hill generally wins the game, because the hill is such an important place on this map. It's mental, really, to me, because there's only one way up onto that hill, and it is this path here, up the E-line, and basically whichever team manages to rush up there first basically wins, because then they get good shots across the whole entire map. And you can stop the enemy team from taking the hill if you take some aggressive spots, which is what we're going to do. So obviously in the Super Pershing, we are not fast enough to get up that hill. There is no chance, we will get wrecked. So what we're doing is putting ourselves in a position to flank these guys and make it as hard as possible for them to try and take the hill, and then basically stop their push completely. We do have a few people that have got up there, which is good, because they can get hulled down and start shooting anyone that gets spotted, and they'll have a good time. So, we've taken this position here. This is a very good counter position to take, and we're starting to try and get some shots into this Minuteman, the MX-65T, and we're just trying to work them over with our sort of okay-ish DPM. In 5.9 seconds reload for 240 alpha is really not too bad, and we're just starting to try and put some shots into the Minuteman. Unfortunately, we're starting to ricochet a few shots, because this is where 192 pen is going to start failing us a little bit, and we probably, there's going to be a point where we should have dabbled in the premium rounds a lot earlier. Also, you're seeing the poor accuracy rear its ugly head a little bit, because some of these shells are just looping over the tanks, which is really irritating. I mean, you do have 975 shell velocity on the standard AP, and if you switch to the premium rounds, it's something you're going to have to adjust for just as much, is the fact that you have 1200 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR, which is fantastic, by the way. It's great velocity. And yeah, you will have to adjust for that. I mean, that's probably explaining a little bit what was happening with the 65T with the first shots on his cupola, where it just flew over the top, is the fact that the shell velocity is a bit weird, and it just means it loops, essentially. So we're trying our best to get some shots into the 65T and the Minuteman. We're starting to farm the Minuteman's hit points whittle him down. And unfortunately, we weren't getting any shots into the cupola of the 65T. Obviously, I know the 65T has been buffed quite a lot, but I expected to be able to actually pen the 65T cupola, and this is where the Super P's armor is failing. You saw in the first game that the armor on the Super P actually works. This game, it's just not happening. You're seeing they are hitting that cheek relentlessly, and we've managed 2,000 damage so far, but we've lost all of our hit points. They're all gone. They're gone, gone, gone. Oh. So we're just gonna sit. We're just gonna sit and wait, because we're going to wait for them to make a mistake. There's no point poking out. They've basically taken all of our hit points. They're not paying attention to us anymore. Look, they're distracted. Our gun looked up in the air, which was frustrating. But we managed to get the shot into the Minuteman before we end up taking a hit ourselves. Before the 65T manages to get a shot at us, we get a shot into his side. Now he's up above, and we have his side. I was thinking, do I need to fire APCR anymore? No, you know what? We're going to stick with it because I want to make sure I'm getting shots into the 65T. Unfortunately, we try and get the snap into the side of him, but it misses. It hits the floor, or the rock next to it. But he's now attacking this VK, because the VK is a one-shot. And now we've got the rear of the MX-65T. I'm switching back to AP because I don't want to use all my APCR before it's too late. And this 65T is definitely ignoring me. So we can make the most of that by firing all of the AP rounds into his ass, which is just what we're going to do. And thankfully, we're going to get the reload in and shut him down and save the LT-432. Now the SU-130PM's coming in. It's like, oh, good gravy. Thank God he bounces off our upper plate. We load HE because we can pen the SU-130PM with the HE. Aiming for that top spot there so we're not hitting tracks. 310, and I'm thinking, well, I'm surely dead here, right? And he bounces again, because clearly the SU-130PM did not know what to do against the Super Pershing, and that's generally what happens with the Super P, is that you find that the people that are knowledgeable about its weak points basically absolutely trash you. But if you face people that don't know about your weak points, they do that. He was clearly RBRTing at the Super Pershing going, it's an easy pen, and bouncing off the right shield at a weird angle. If he'd aimed, he could have quite easily gone straight through our turret front, if we're honest. But thankfully he didn't, and we got rid of that SU-130PM. We've blocked 2.8k damage so far, 3.7k damage done, 743 assistance. We get a nice shot through the side of the Draugen there, and he gets shut down by the Bison T-103. There's only one tank left on the enemy team. It's the it's the SDRV S1, and the S1 gets shut down by the SU-101. And we'll finish the game with the victory. We've come top on the team, 3 kills, nearly 4k damage, 2.8k blocked, like I say. The ace tanker, the high caliber, the steel wall, 1879 base XP, a really nice game there for the Super Pershing. Like I say, my first ever premium tank that I bought. It's always got a special place in my heart for that. I don't know what you guys, your first premium tanks you ever bought were. Let me leave that down in the comments. But it's always got a special place in my heart for that. And yeah, it's not the best, but it's not the worst of tanks. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!